Who caught that boy? Who stretched that boy? Who caught that boy? I'm him.
I ain't never seen that man with Young Boy before that shit happened with V-Roy. You see what I'm saying? It's like he using that like as a face card to be around him. Like,
it appears that these OBlock rivals have been attempting to re-enter the picture since King Von was taken to that lobby. Even after all these years, Lul Tim has been reappearing online, making small jabs as if he had nothing to lose, despite the fact that 5 years have gone by and the tension is beginning to seem deadly once more. We're going to get into some serious street politics today that affected the whole hip-hop movement, observing every action as if it were a live film. Make sure to hit the like button before we enter this crazy circumstance, because each and every one of you counts and keeps this family growing. We were able to go back in time to the 6th of November 2020 in order to comprehend how this lunacy resurfaced. King Von sadly died that evening, just outside an Atlanta hookah lounge. A culture-shaking moment. Rondo's right-hand partner, Lul Tim, fired the shot, claiming it was self-defense. The streets never saw it that way, and they certainly never let it go, even if the legal system acknowledged that and the charges were dropped. This whole thing has been cooling down like a pot on low heat for 5 long years. NBA. Through his music, Youngboy has been making subtle verbal jabs against OBlock. Lul Tim has been moving next to YB as if he were untouchable. OBlock has been silent, observing, waiting, and making calculations. However, this week's events transformed all of that subdued pressure into intense, boiling energy. And have faith that this is more profound than outsiders can even comprehend. King Von was not your typical Chicago rapper. He was revered on a completely new level and was regarded as true OBlock nobility. He was raised by Chief Keef. However, Von had a special quality. People on the street said that Von led a hard life even before the drill music was invented by Sosa. His name was even recognized by the industry. He had a solid reputation long before he ever set foot in a studio. People have been saying for years. Thus, Von's death was more than just the loss of an artist. OBlock lost a significant leader who they believed could assist in paving the way for their future. And that's when things start to go crazy. NBA Youngboy recently released a freestyle. The song, Zero IQ, seemed to be extremely derogatory to King Von's legacy. However, Lul Tim went one step farther and made everything hit much more forcefully. He got to TikTok, uploaded a video of himself acting carefree, and began rapping along to the song's wildest section. The precise bars that everyone on the internet was debating. Who? Pop that boy? He's me. Who initiates that boy? He's me. Who? Nothing about it was concealed. No creative cover-up, no coded message. In front of millions of people, Lul Tim was essentially boasting on social media and pretending to be. He didn't care who saw it because he was proud of the circumstances surrounding King Von. People referred to him as irresponsible due to his attitude because the audacity was simply unbelievable.
That boy. Who stretched that boy? Who caught that boy? I'm him.
You got on that plate, that's all.
However, the timing of that TikTok was what truly ignited the internet. Just 5 years after King Von's death, on the 6th of November 2025, Lul Tim uploaded the video. This is where the situation became even more bizarre. On the 6th of November 2025, Lul Tim's granddad also passed away. 5 years apart on the same date, the internet erupted with responses as people began making connections between the dates. Let me now explain how the TikTok attack differs from all the other internet insults that people have been witnessing. So far, the majority of the shots came from the music. Artists could easily avoid subliminals, metaphors, and encoded lines if someone attempted to point them out. Nah, I wasn't talking about that, was a valid response. However, Lul Tim immediately put all of that in the trash. He looked directly into the camera, confidently rapped those exact words, and ensured that no one had to wonder what he meant. Additionally, it was clear from the video's setting that this wasn't a fleeting, random occurrence. He appeared to be in a professional setting, such as a studio. Everything appears deliberate, including the precise audio and clean lighting. There was nothing impromptu about this. This was well-planned content, designed to elicit the greatest number of responses and convey an unmistakable message. You can be sure OBlock wasn't going to overlook that. Muna, one of the more vocal OBlock members since Van's death, Ike, responded right away. He immediately took to social media to personally contact Lul Tim, informing him that OBlock would not tolerate such behavior and that the disrespect was not going unnoticed. Ike went straight after Lul Tim, accusing him of attempting to maintain his prominence by using King Von's death as a face card. And he wondered why Tim didn't appear near NBA YoungBoy till after Von's incident. Ike was very clear that he didn't buy into that unexpected friendship. Ike was pretty frank in that interview with FYBJ Maine that has gone viral. "I've never seen that man with YoungBoy before," he remarked. That was the case with Von. He makes them appear a little tough by utilizing that as a face automobile to surround him. People were paying close attention just because he wasn't sugarcoating anything. Ike wasn't merely discussing internet moments and music. He criticized Lul Tim's behavior since that evening in Atlanta. He drew attention to the fact that Tim had been writing songs about the circumstances, boasting on stage, and behaving like a street legend when, in Ike's words,
that man with YoungBoy before that shit happened with V-Roy, you see what I'm saying? It's like he using that like as a face card to be around him, like to make them look a little tough, you see what I'm saying?
Okay.
That's how I look at it, but I ain't really like.
So if it was, so
it ain't much I can say because I'm still I'm working on my way up the street, you see what I'm saying? I ain't, if my time gonna come, it's whatever, but it's just that shit, like that's the shit.
There was absolutely no actual street business handling of the problem. Ike spoke clearly and loudly. "You're off, dude. It's not like you did something on the streets and left it there." The entire timeline was vibrating with just one line. He pressed farther into the... For years, Tim and his supporters have been repeating this story. Ike and other OBlock members claim that the events of that evening were more complicated than they seemed on the internet. They contend that the media misrepresented things to make it appear as though Tim intervened as a hero to defend his friend, and that Von wasn't even the one initiating the hostile situation that evening.
Because do you understand the whole situation or what?
I understand, but it's like, all right, you did what you did, okay.
Because
cool.
I heard, not to cut you off, but I heard a lot of people from y'all side getting that, some people saying he did with like...
but he'll do what any street do if he got to defend his people. But it's like, all right, you did what you did, that's cool, all right, boom, the police was involved, you got off, bro. It ain't like you did some street shit and like, it's just left in the streets. That shit on some police shit too at the same time, you get what I'm saying? Like, do shit, like it's a difference from doing some street shit and the I know you did some street shit, right? And your name, you in the streets, like, your name ring or whatever. But you did some street shit, whatever, you claim, but the police was involved in that shit. But it's like, I don't like the way he go about it, like, be flexing and shit. Like, don't act like you did some shit and just got away, like, off the chain, like, off that, like, bro, niggas ain't, like, it's some shit I can't even say. But it's like, I don't like how certain...
People were shocked by such a statement, since it contradicted the story that most people had been repeating for years. Ike concluded by advising Tim to maintain his humility since, if he is not careful, the same kind of circumstance he is boasting about might turn against anyone. Ike cautioned that irresponsible behavior might quickly backfire, and that anyone who believes they are untouchable can quickly face reality.
Humble, gang. You see what I'm saying? I feel like he ain't humble about that shit, like, cause the same way like you did what you did, that shit could happen to you too, gang. Like on some easy shit. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Bro, you got lucky. You did what you did. You defended you stood your ground, whatever. But it's like, it's just the way like had be playing out now, like all that on stage and okay, you
tough,
like
yeah,
gang. Like I don't be liking that gang, cause
bro was gangster.
Bro was a gangster. This what I'm saying.
He died a gangster.
Ain't doing no like with shit like that, bro. It's like, bro, you got lucky, really, bro. Like it ain't like you was on no you ain't finna face this man face to face and just you got lucky. His back.
Since this problem goes much beyond a single instant outside of a hooker place, let's examine the actual truth behind it. This wasn't a chance meeting. This resulted from years of street history, pride, ego, and long-standing tension building up until everything broke down that evening. Outside that Atlanta hookah location, Quando Rondo was approached by King Von and his people, and anyone familiar with Von could see why the room became tense right away. Von was well known on the streets, and people frequently remarked that he didn't hesitate to approach others when issues needed to be resolved. He was not one to back down. Everywhere he went, it was how people perceived him. But here's what many people don't understand about Lul Tim. Before all of this, Tim wasn't seen as a significant street character, according to Muna Ike and other OBlock members. He was merely Quando's companion, and that evening he was armed. They claimed that prior to all of this, he wasn't moving like a person deep in the streets. He was recently ensnared in a serious occasion and responded to keep his companion safe. Tim noticed his friend in jeopardy and tried to intervene like a devoted friend would when Von and his group moved up on Quando. It wasn't only that aspect that infuriated everyone. Everything that transpired following the incident is what caused all of the rage and disrespect that are currently circulating. Lul Tim began utilizing the incident as a springboard to establish his reputation rather than keeping things low, staying out of the way, and acting strategically. He made extensive connections with NBA YoungBoy and began recording songs about the occasion and started promoting this new persona as if he were an established street powerhouse. That's what ultimately caused OBlock to lose it. Not only the actual loss, but also the manner in which he has been acting ever since. This is where things really get sticky, so we have to discuss the NBA YoungBoy link. Long before anything happened with Vaughn, YoungBoy and Lil Durk were embroiled in a long-running rivalry. As a result, YoungBoy had a new opportunity to intensify his feud with Durk as things in Atlanta deteriorated. Tim used to be Quando's quiet homeboy, but all of a sudden he was everywhere with YoungBoy, traveling, performing, and acting like he belonged in the main group. The street politics that underlie all of this are far more intricate than what is visible on the internet, and the more you examine, the more obvious it is why this predicament won't go away. Quando Rondo has been a member of the Young Boys 4KT movement for many years, and their relationship predates all of this drama. However, Tim was merely a Savannah partner. After that one night in Atlanta, everything changed for someone who never asked for the limelight but was thrust into it, and everything blew up in an instant. After that TikTok dropped, the video went viral in a matter of hours. Thousands of comments, millions of views, and entire timelines that become battlegrounds. YoungBoy supporters jumped in to defend Tim's right to speak about what happened, while King Von fans bombarded Tim's comment section with threats and insults. It was no longer even about music. It developed into a fully functional online battlefield. However, random fans weren't the end of it. Members of OBlock themselves began flooding their own pages with comments. TikToks, tweets, and Instagram stories were all over the place. Some posted throwback clips of King Von smiling, rapping, living life. Others posted short, cryptic messages that felt like direct shots at Tim without even saying his name. One answer was particularly noteworthy. "Long Live Vaughn" was the caption for a video that an OBlock member uploaded of himself performing Van's music. We don't forget anything. That message hit strong because it showed OBlock still views everything connected to that night as unfinished business, no matter what the court system stamped on the case. Meanwhile, YoungBoy's camp stayed quiet. YB himself hasn't jumped online to address any of OBlock's messages or the rising tension, but word behind the scenes is he boosted security around Tim and the rest of the crew. That alone shows they watching the situation close, even if they not speaking on it publicly. Now, we have got to talk about this. November 6th situation because things get real spooky here. King Von lost his life on November 6th, 2020, around 2:22 a.m. outside the Monaco Hookah Lounge in Atlanta. A date and time fans will never forget. Then 5 years later on November 6th, 2025, Lil Tim's grandfather passed away. As soon as the news surfaced, the internet went wild connecting the dates like it was some kind of sign. Vaughn supporters started saying this was proof that their man reached out from the afterlife to get some type of justice, pointing out how Tim tweeted the insulting TikTok on the exact same day his grandfather perished. The timing had folks talking everywhere. TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter are all filled with hypotheses, anxieties, and passionate conversations about whether the date was merely coincidence or something deeper. On the internet, some have referred to the entire situation as Vaughn's retaliation and cosmic justice, while Tim supporters have been trying hard to brush it off, claiming it's nothing more than coincidence. They're saying folks are overthinking it, but no matter how you spin it, the timing feels wild, especially when you look at how calculated Tim usually is with everything he posts online. Then people started digging deeper, pointing out that Tim's grandfather was reportedly the one who raised him when his parents weren't around. So losing his grandfather on the same date the situation with Vaughn happened had the internet talking nonstop, folks calling it some type of spiritual payback or balance being restored in the universe. The theories got louder and louder as the day went on, and the reaction from Chicago moved fast, real fast. Multiple OBlock affiliates jumped on social media with messages that felt like direct warnings aimed at Tim. They've been posting old clips of King Von, sharing throwbacks of him laughing, partying, or rapping paired with captions like, "We still here and justice coming." Messages that had fans watching closely because they felt like more than just tributes. But it wasn't only OBlock speaking up. Other Chicago drill artists who were close to Vaughn started chiming in too. Even people from FBG Duck Circle, a group that didn't always get along with OBlock, came out supporting Van's memory and calling out Tim's disrespect. That surprised a lot of people because it showed just how deep the situation cut across the entire Chicago scene. Things got so heated that certain venues started canceling NBA YoungBoy shows over safety worries. Promoters didn't want any smoke at their events, especially if they thought OBlock affiliates might try to pull up and get close to Tim during a performance. Some promoters even posted statements about security risks without naming names, but everybody knew who they were talking about. The backlash to Lul Tim's TikTok moved fast and came hard. OBlock members have been hammering social media with warnings, extensive messages, and videos calling out the disrespect. In the comment section under that TikTok, it turned into straight warfare. Van supporters and YB fans were arguing nonstop, sending shots back and forth like it was a live battlefield. But here's the part that got everybody on edge. According to people close to the situation, OBlock hasn't just been talking online. They've been actively trying to track down Lul Tim. The energy around this issue is starting to feel hazardous again, and the streets are watching every action. Many people on the streets claim that Lul Tim has been hiding behind the NBA YoungBoy's notoriety and strict security, and they want to smoke one-on-one without the security personnel getting in the way. The tension got so intense that law enforcement started watching things very closely. Atlanta police even boosted patrols near spots YoungBoy's camp usually moves through because they don't want anything close to another tragedy like what happened the night Vol lost his life. The entire scenario has even captured the attention of the music business. Record labels have begun holding private, quiet meetings to discuss artist safety and whether it is worthwhile to retain performers on board when they are involved in real-life conflicts that may have repercussions outside of the music industry. Some industry experts have been suggesting Tim's TikTok crossed a line. A line even the music business doesn't want associated to their brand right now. This whole event highlights how social media impacted the entire scene forever. If you had a disagreement with someone in the past, it was kept off camera. No phones, no posts, no internet audience observing everything. However, these days, guys brag online, post TikToks, repeat offensive lines, and then act perplexed when others perceive it as disrespectful and want to reply. Everything got amplified because it's happening on a global stage instead of staying quiet in the background. Lul Tim could have maintained a low profile, continued to earn money from the young boy, and led a tranquil existence. Rather, he repeatedly poked the animal by firing rounds online. That bear is now fully awake and prepared to give a fierce bite in return. OBlock is not the type to let disrespect slide, especially when it's tied to King Von's name and legacy. And the wild part is this beef is not showing any signs of stopping. Van's passing created a tense cycle that has persisted for the past 5 years. And every time it appears that things are getting better, something goes wrong. A post, a music, a message, and it all gets fired right back up like gasoline on fire. All of this also highlights a more significant problem: how long-standing grudges and drill culture have trapped young men in cycles they didn't start. Van had his entire life ahead of him when he died, in his mid-20s. Tim is still young, too, with years left to build something real. These guys could be starting businesses, starting families, and taking actions that improve their communities. Rather, they continue to engage in conflicts that had begun long before, bringing tension from previous generations into the present. And social media just keeps adding gasoline to a fire that never has the chance to burn out. In the end, everything about this circumstance is simply tragic. Regardless of your point of view, King Von was a truly talented artist who could have had a completely different life if he had left the streets earlier. However, Lul Tim responded quickly in an attempt to defend his pal. However, he will always have a target on his back as a result of that moment, and the weight of that doesn't go away quickly. Members of OBlock, such as Muna Ike, have a strong sense of duty to protect the honor of their fallen troops. And this whole November 6th situation, it might be a coincidence, or it might be something bigger. You have to make that decision. However, it's evident that TikTok immediately placed Lul Tim back in the spotlight and turned him into one of the most watched figures in Chicago street politics at the moment. Disrespect is not tolerated in OBlock or the Chicago scene, particularly when Van's name is involved. For the past 5 years, this tension has been growing, and it is not at all abating. An already explosive situation continues to gain new energy with each post, disc, and song. The true question at this moment is not whether something else will occur, but rather when. Tell me what you think. Then, was Lul Tim wrong for sharing that TikTok, or was he just stating his mind as everyone else would? What about that connection on November 6th? Is it just a coincidence, or is there a deeper, inexplicable reason? This discussion is far from ended, so please share your ideas in the comments. Listen now. Make sure to show love and hit the like button before you dip out, as each tap strengthens the movement. Give your homeboy access to this video so they can engage with the narrative as well. And if you're new here or been watching without joining the family, hit that subscribe button right now and turn them notifications on so you never miss when we drop heat. The streets never sleep and we're just getting started. Tomorrow's upload is going to be even more bizarre, deeper, and unmissable. There are still a ton of stories to discover and truths to dissect. Join the family, remain locked in, and keep rocking with us every single day. Here at Rap, we'll see you in the next one. Thread, where the reality of the streets lives.